John had a huge impact on these people's lives, but they impacted him as well. What surprised me the most that I discovered in the book was how, even through George, he was searching for this emotional connection to his father that he didn't have.
The 2024 East Hampton Library presented its 20th annual Authors Night fundraiser.
This, I hope, is an encouragement for writers, libraries everywhere to support people. East Hampton Library, why we're here today, to support people to use their voice and to get the truth out there.
One of the most popular and celebrity-studded events of the Hampton summer calendar, Authors Night featured 100 writers across all genres, becoming one of the most successful celebrations of books and authors in America. NYC VIBE caught up with the co-authors of the first oral biography of John F. Kennedy Jr., an extraordinarily intimate, comprehensive look at the real man behind the myth.
I really felt like I wanted him to be remembered, and the best way to remember him was through the voices of the people that knew him best.
We spoke to many people who've never been interviewed before. So there were a lot of stories that we never had access to before, like his relationship with his father, how his father's death had affected him. So for the very first time, we were able to talk to some of his closest friends to sort of talk about that void and the hole. And it's a very intimate book. It's very personal, sort of warm and empathetic. We sort of always saw him from the outside, but this is a look at sort of who he was from the inside.
Across the tent, we spoke with Elizabeth Beller, who brings to us the life and legacy of Carolyn Bessette Kennedy, the wife of John F. Kennedy Jr., in this captivating and effervescent biography.
She was actually a very good friend, a person who often practiced random acts of kindness. So it was a huge disconnect that she was treated so poorly when she was someone who was so kind to her friends. And I wrote the book. I was even more invigorated to write it, and I'm so pleased to show this other side of her rather than this idea that was ingrained for 25 years that it was her fault they were late to catch the plane, which it was not. Everybody was leaving for the airport at the same time, and all these other narratives that were tagged on to her that just weren't the case.
When she began dating America's Prince, Caroline was increasingly thrust into the overwhelming spotlight filled with relentless paparazzi who reacted to her reserve with a campaign of harassment and vilification. To this day, she is still depicted as a privileged princess, icy, vapid, and drug-addicted. She has even been accused of being responsible for their untimely death, allegedly delaying takeoff until she finished her pedicure. But now, she is revealed as never before.
Part of what was so interesting and alluring about Carolyn was her restraint. Tabloids decide on a certain narrative, and it's very hard for someone to break out of that. And she was one of the first people that went through it, but we see many people going through it. And you see celebrities implode or their marriages implode. Carolyn's story resonates today for that reason.
When Carolyn met her future husband, John was immediately drawn to her strong-willed personality, effortless charm, and high intelligence. JFK Jr. dives deep into his complicated psyche.
Oh, it definitely opened up my eyes. There were so many things I didn't know. There were so many friends. There was such an eclectic group of people, people from high school, people from grade school, that he had these really deep relationships with that lasted throughout his whole life. And they informed a lot of the decisions that he made in his life and a lot of the things that he cared about.
More than 25 years after the plane crash that claimed the lives of JFK Jr., his wife Carolyn, and her sister Lauren, the magnitude of this tragedy remains fresh.
The last thing you want for someone that you love is for them to be forgotten. So tell their stories. It's really important.